The first thing that caught people was not the moment she lifted her shirt, but the way her voice trembled just before it, a fragile sound that seemed to belong to a much younger girl. Grace had said the words with an uneasy smile, sitting across from Michael in a small restaurant in Ohio, the kind of American place where the coffee cups were thick and the lights were soft enough to forgive every flaw. Outside, the United States winter was loosening its grip, leaving wet reflections on the sidewalks, and inside she was trying to explain a lifetime in a single breath. Michael only knew that he had agreed to meet a woman who claimed no one wanted to date her, yet the sadness in her eyes suggested a story larger than ordinary rejection. He felt, even before understanding, that he was standing on the edge of something sacred and dangerous, a confession that could change both of them. She had grown up in Columbus with Christian posters on her bedroom wall and a mother who believed prayers could mend anything. Years earlier, a routine medical exam revealed the scars from a surgery Grace rarely spoke about, marks that made her believe she was unlovable. The challenges she faced were not only in the mirror, but in the nervous way she avoided invitations, the way she laughed too loudly to keep people from coming close. Friends from church set her up with men who disappeared after the second meeting, and each goodbye convinced her that second chances were meant for other people in America. Not for a waitress who worked double shifts and hid her body beneath loose cotton. The protagonist of her own life felt like an understudy, watching confident women walk through New York airports on television while she counted tips and wondered what kindness truly required. If you felt the warmth of kindness in these opening lines, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, especially if you believe in compassion and the power of second chances. The narrative of her days moved with a heavy sameness, buses groaning through Chicago streets, the smell of detergent in a tiny apartment she rented above a bakery owned by Anna, a cheerful widow from Michael's parish. Anna often told her that the United States was filled with ordinary miracles, but Grace could not imagine one with her name on it. Emotional depth entered her routine only when she visited the hospital where she volunteered, reading psalms to children who reminded her how fiercely people could struggle. There she learned to picture scenes vividly, a boy in Boston squeezing her hand, a nurse in Dallas thanking her for simply showing up. Yet relatable characters did not heal the terror she carried, the belief that to be seen completely was to be abandoned. Her main challenges followed her from Los Angeles beaches to the quiet Midwest, invisible chains forged from disappointment. Michael's life had its own rough chapters, a mechanic laid off in Detroit who drove to Ohio looking for work and for a reason to remain hopeful in the United States. He attended Thomas's church, repairing cars in the parking lot after services, and Thomas insisted he meet the shy waitress who sang hymns while wiping tables. When Michael first saw her in the restaurant, he noticed how she treated strangers, offering refills with a gentleness that felt almost cinematic. He did not see a woman defined by scars, only someone building suspense inside herself, afraid of the next scene. The story location was America, yet the emotions were borderless, and Michael wondered what struggles he might carry that she could not detect. He sensed that things might start to change if he learned to listen. Their meeting unfolded like a film set in a modest New Jersey diner, though they were actually in Ohio, two souls rehearsing bravery. Grace described how smooth pace was stolen from her by the fear of intimacy, how vivid scenes in her mind turned dark whenever a man in Chicago asked about her past. She told him she was tired of pretending across the United States, tired of watching relationships end before they began. Michael shared his own challenges, sleeping in his truck in Pennsylvania, believing no employer in America would trust him again. Relatable characters were sitting at other tables, couples in California laughing, unaware of the struggle blooming beside them. The protagonist leaned forward, determined to test honesty. What followed was the moment she had used to warn others. the instant she believed defined every narrative suitable for a 1,000-word YouTube video. With a slow, almost ceremonial motion, Grace showed him the marks she hid, a gesture that in the United States had always triggered departures. She expected Michael to become another empty chair in her collection of memories, another challenge faced by the heroine who never reached part 2. Instead, he felt inspired by her courage, though he kept his reaction quiet, refusing to use dialogue format as he searched for words within himself. Emotional depth filled the space like steam from a kettle, and Michael realized that suspense and emotion steadily rising could also lead to mercy. He decided he would not vanish. From that day in Ohio, their lives across the United States began to tilt toward light. Michael found work in Cleveland, repairing a billionaire's jet once, yet remained the same humble mechanic who visited Thomas's church. Grace allowed Anna to trim her hair, wore a fitted dress in Chicago for the first time, and challenges faced by the central figure slowly loosened. She still struggled with nightmares in Los Angeles hotels when traveling, still feared Michael would one day reconsider. Yet relatable characters around them mirrored their growth. A couple in Seattle encouraging them, a pastor in Dallas blessing their honesty. The protagonist learned that America contained room for those who believed they had none. Near the end of one summer in Ohio, Michael asked her to walk with him after Thomas's service, the United States sky wide and patient above them. Grace admitted she was still afraid, still the girl who once believed no one wanted to date her anywhere in America. Michael told her, without turning the story into dialogue format, that he had already chosen his place in her narrative. Emotional depth shimmered between them like the Hudson River at sunset, though they were miles away. Relatable characters from church watched kindly, understanding how challenges faced could transform into bridges. The protagonist felt inspired to believe him. Special request, please comment Kindness Lives in America by Autumn in Ohio. Grace's story across the United States no longer belonged solely to scars. She recognized how steadily rising patience had rebuilt her, how suspense of rejection dissolved when met by loyalty. Michael remained beside her in Chicago crowds and on brief trips to California, proving that complete the entire story in part 1 could still feel whole. Anna said she witnessed an ordinary miracle in Ohio, and Thomas reminded them that Christian names were written in heaven before appearing on mailboxes. The protagonist finally saw herself as worthy in the United States, and she understood that inspiration sometimes arrived disguised as a simple man drinking coffee. If this American story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, because engaging with the video helps real kindness reach more people across the United States.